Make sure you remember to subscribe to all channels.
Are you ready for an unforgettable experience? Get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get hype.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Late Night Hype. We have a very special guest in the building, coming back in the building, actually. Kyle Yeomans of DallasCowboys.com from everything. I mean, his hands are everywhere. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey, Kyle, you know I'm not lying. Your hands are in everything on DallasCowboys.com, brother.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. And I love it. That's the thing.
That's awesome.
I love the fact that you're not lying.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've been following DC.com for a long time, with podcasts and things like that. And I used to think Dave Hellman was everywhere. No, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is everywhere. It is awesome. How you doing, Law Nation? How you doing, Kyle?
Oh, man. Doing fantastic.
How about you, Law?
I'm doing great, man. It's draft time, right, baby?
We're throwing that out there already. I see where we're going with the late night hype. We're gonna draft talk.
Hey, shout out to everybody joining us in the chat here. We got Gambino, Floyd, Raph, Jared, Stevie, Say Prime Time, Sherilyn, RC Cowboys, Hyper, Akeem. What's up, Akeem? Ninja, my guy Wink, Demetrius, Lord Nova, and many, many more. And the cool thing about today's episode is that Kyle actually can see the chat. So,
okay. Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So y'all watch what y'all saying on here.
Last time we were on, I didn't get to see the chat.
Oh, no.
And so now I get to see it.
Law always comes up with these unique ways, man. I'm telling you.
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, and we were talking about this in the pre-show, but and I'll say this in front of everybody on air for everyone to see. You guys are lucky. I mean, these two guys do a fantastic job, and I was sitting here just looking at it and marveling at the whole setup, the intro, the way these streams are set up. You guys do an awesome job, and Cowboys fans are lucky to have you two following the team.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. We can't forget our guy, Big Game James of Silver Blue Nation. Couldn't be with us tonight, but it's all good. They hold it down when I'm not able to be on the show, so we're going to hold it down for James. Right, Law?
Yes, indeed. Hold it down for him, and don't forget to smash the like button, share it all over the world on Big Game James' page. Let's go.
Indeed. All right, Kyle. So, listen, buddy. we talked about it before the show. It kind of sucks that we have to, talk about things of next year right now, week 9. But nonetheless, there are still things to talk about. If you and here's my thing. We got this saying on our channel that we're going to be rolling out here, the Dallas Cowboys Network. Die hard fans. If you're watching Dallas Cowboys content right now, if you're watching this channel, if you're watching anything on DC.com, you, my friend, are a die hard fan. So kudos
Right.
to you and round of applause because it's hard. It's hard. We're 2-7, but we are here. And one of the things I wanted to start off with at the top was a hot topic coming into the first, 6 weeks of the season or so, 7 weeks of the season, was how putrid our defense was, Kyle. It was terrible. What was the feel around, you're around Barry Church, who I'm going to ask you about that yesterday too, your tea time. You're around these former players, man, and defensive players, right? McCray, Church.
Yeah.
They're Cowboy pride. How are they feeling, or how was the feeling around the stadium with this defense going into 7 weeks into the season?
Yeah, it was pretty detrimental for sure. I mean, whenever you looked at the problems, it was, at least at the beginning of the year, it was a big question mark. It's like, where is everything going wrong? Because you had those veteran guys come in like a Dontari Poe and a Daryl Worley, and yeah, you had some banged up guys like Cheeto, and you couldn't really put your finger on why this defense was performing historically bad. Because even last year's defense, where people knew that there should have been an improvement, it still was a top 15 defense, top half defense in the league. And then you were like, okay, this year's the year you start seeing the next step, right? Well, you didn't get that. You didn't get the next step from a Jalen Smith. You got Leighton Vander Esch back for a half before he got hurt again. And then luckily he's kind of gotten back into a rhythm, and hopefully he stays healthy for the rest of the year. But I think Mike Nolan had to learn a little bit about this personnel more so than he even anticipated. I think he came in thinking he could bring his own system and figure some things out pretty quickly. And I don't know if that's necessarily how it ended up turning out, because now you're starting to see a little bit of that turning of the corner. And I think a big part of that is the play of Neville Gallimore and Antoine Woods, which have just kind of shown a little bit of that oomph in the middle of the defense that you really needed. But man, it really was, in talking with Barry and even Isaiah and Nate during the pregame shows and postgame shows, and while we watched the games, it was disappointing, was probably the biggest way to put it, because you expected a defense from a middle of the road defense last year to take a next step, and it just never ended up working.
Yeah, they end up walking back. Yes, disappointment. Is it the process of less is more? Is that the situation there?
Schemes, and you heard about the hybrids and the movement. We saw it in training camp. Whenever we got a chance to kind of sit down and watch, we saw how different this defense was from what Rod Marinelli had run in the previous years. But then you brought out the first couple weeks of the season, and I think it really took up until Arizona to figure out the Monday Night Football game against Arizona, to figure out that this isn't working the way we thought it was going to work. Let's dumb it back down. And that's when you started hearing about simplifying things. You started hearing about, let's get pressure up front with the four guys that we have up front, and then we can talk about the back end. We can take some pressure off the linebackers, and then we can take it off the secondary as well. And I think we saw that a little bit in the Philly game. We saw it even more against the Pittsburgh game. But whenever you have some pressure up front, it makes a world of difference. And Everson Griffin, Dontari Poe weren't cutting it for you up front. And I think that's one of the biggest changes that they've had is, one, they've simplified it for some of those guys, but specifically with the defense as a whole, you need that pressure for it to work. And I think now you'll start maybe seeing a little bit more of that Mike Nolan system and that different scheme change kind of come in again here in the next couple of weeks, now that they've figured out the front four.
So do you think, he kind of alluded to it a little bit, but with kind of cutting the fat per se, do you think getting rid of those veterans and allowing some of these younger, hungry guys to get some play, that's helped a little bit? Or is it more Mike Nolan's scheme is just being figured out? Because I'm just going to go right to it, man. You mentioned his name. Neville Gallimore had a day.
Yes, he did.
Now David Irving was here, and we knew what kind of impact that he made at the defensive tackle position. Neville started off slow, but now he's starting to get it together. If he can give us like 75% of that every week, that will help out the rest of this defense. How you feeling about Neville after his standout performance?
Oh, I feel great. I feel really good because during the draft show, we were looking at Neville Gallimore and said, this is our guy. Like, this is our dude. But whenever you come from the specifics of the Mike Nolan defense, you asked, is it the young guys or is it the Mike Nolan defense kind of finally figuring things out? I think it's a little bit of both because, one, you get the fight that you needed.
Right.
You didn't have fight from Poe. You didn't have
Oh,
fight.
good point.
You could see it on film. You could see they just weren't necessarily bought in. Gallamore's bought in. Justin Hamilton's bought in. Same thing with Antoine Woods. You saw him try and protect the star from Smith-Schuster. I love that. I love that a lot. And you need that kind of push up front. But I also think it's just putting the pieces together. You've got those three levels of a defense, especially with Mike Nolan. It's that defensive line, linebackers, secondary. And I think basically after the first 6 weeks of the season were historically bad, they said, okay, whoa. Let's tap the brakes and let's piece this thing together step by step. And let's start with the defensive line. And that's why they made the moves that they ultimately ended up making. Let's get these guys an opportunity to get some snaps. And not only with Neville Gallimore, but with Randy Gregory on the edge as well. And he played very well against Pittsburgh a week later after his second game back. So I think you have the defensive line figuring things out. Now you got to go to the linebackers because we saw what happened on Sunday when it came to Jalen Smith and some of these other guys. I think you can figure it out with them at the linebacking spot. And your secondary by that point hopefully should be taken over and figuring things out there too. But I think it starts up front, and that fight definitely adds a huge element.
Law, what is one of our biggest problems with Jalen? I mean, let's just talk about it. You said linebackers is Jalen. What is one of our biggest problems with Jalen, Law?
I just got to start off with the positive. You know, he does have a level of speed. I think that he still have the physical traits, but I think decision making is his main problem with this two gap system. It's picking the right slots, picking the right places to fill, and he get caught up in trouble, deep trouble as it relates to coverage. Quick turns, quick hip flexors and stuff like that is his major problem. So I don't think that you can fix this overnight. I don't think that you can fix this over another several of weeks or what have you. So it's one of those things that I hate to say this, Cowboy Nation, but I just think that they're going to have to convert him into a specialist.
Did you hear what Jerry Jones said, Kyle? He called Jalen a cornerstone.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because he called him a cornerstone, and then within the quote, by the way, I don't know why, and I know, Kyle, you can't say this, but I usually don't listen to Jerry Jones that much, but his quotes lately just been popping out to me. I don't know why. But he called Jalen a cornerstone, and then in the same sentence, he talked about one of the things that would take time, or one of the things he struggled with in Law. I don't know if you saw that, but you hit it on the head. He said, we're in a different scheme now. We're in a scheme where Jalen has to think. He has to pick and choose which gap to attack, which move to make. Is that something, Kyle, that you think that Jalen can eventually become great at, or is he going to have to play a different position?
I think that might be his biggest downfall, actually, if we're being real with the fact of Jalen Smith, because we knew coming out of the draft, and we knew what he was his first couple years in. The struggle was the change of direction, right? It was the way that he's able to pivot. It's the way that he's able to go laterally. That was the biggest question with Jalen Smith. Then, not to mention, he figured it out a little bit in 2018, how to recognize plays and how to be there before and have that quick trigger before the ball's even there and be in the right position for the right sort of play. Well, that hasn't progressed the way that you wanted it to, because we started to see it in 2018, and Leighton Vander Esch certainly helped out a lot with that, but it definitely didn't progress last year. And if anything, it seems like it's regressed this year. Yeah. Because there were a couple times, like you said, Law, whenever you're talking about Jalen, it looks like he's a little bit, not even just slow, but lost. And I think that's the biggest question mark with Jalen right now is, can he find a way to have that kind of headspace and have that kind of mentality of, you need to know where this guy's going specifically, just to be able to counteract some of the issues you have in terms of the change of direction, because neither one of those are going to work by themselves.
Not at all. Earlier you mentioned about the front being connected to the middle, the hip bone being connected. You know what I mean? Right? That song. Right. You talked about all these things connecting, and we got to kind of end it with the back end. And right now we lost Trevon Diggs, which was, man, huge blow. I thought that kid was having a great season. Before we move on, how did you feel about his season before this injury here, man?
I loved it. And the thing is there were definitely ups and downs with Trevon Diggs, and that's going to happen with a corner that's thrusted into being the number one corner every single week, whenever he's also not been a corner for that long. I mean, he switched from wide receiver to corner during his time at Alabama, which is one of the reasons why his ball skills are as impressive as they are. But I think he's going to turn into a guy you could be. You talk about a cornerstone. He could be a cornerstone.
Right.
If he continues to progress the way that you would anticipate him to, and I do say anticipate because we thought the same thing about Jalen, but if he continues to grow, my goodness, it's going to be something fun to watch. And I think this is huge. The fact that he's out for a good amount of time here. That out of all the injuries this year, with the exception of Dak Prescott, I would put Trayvon Diggs as number 2. Right there, because of the growth that you would have. And I know a lot of people will say Tyron and Lyle. I'm right there with you. It's all kind of.
I see where you're going with this, yeah.
But the valuable reps that Diggs was getting, and with the learning that he was doing. I mean, look from week 1 to week 7, and week 8, and week 9. He's a different player already. And I think if you're going to take 4 to 6 games out of this rookie season, that's going to hurt a lot. And if he's out for the rest of the season, I hate that because I wanted him and Cheeto to be on the field together.
Yeah.
Most likely going to be your 2 top corners in the future, depending on what you do end up adding draft-wise or free agent-wise. But, man, I really wanted to see 2-7 and 2-4 on the field at the same time.
Kyle, let me ask you this. So you said he can be the cornerstone. I always look at safeties as a helper for the cornerbacks. Do you think that the Cowboys, if they would really buy into this safety play, if they can put a dynamic safety in his spot to help out the Diggs kid, he can be a little bit more aggressive. He can jump routes a little bit more, knowing that he got back end help. Do you think that they will go with that angle, or they go with another angle of helping out with up front?
It's tough because you could go both ways, like you mentioned, but specifically with your cornerbacks right now, you've got a lot of question marks as to who's going to even be around next year because Cheeto's in a contract year, Jordan Lewis is in a contract year. So it's really interesting to see. It will be interesting to see what they decide to do going into this offseason. I want a safety back there because I'm with you. I want to see a safety find a way to be competent whenever it comes to that position with Trayvon Diggs there. And I think we saw just a flash of it with Donovan Wilson. I mean, Donovan Wilson's been an improvement and really a bright spot over the last couple of weeks as well. This is somebody who stepped up when you needed somebody to step up in that position whenever things just didn't go right for the first 6 weeks of the year. Donovan Wilson's been that guy. And we saw that on the deep route to Deontay Johnson, the seam on the left side of the field. And you had Diggs and man, I'm forgetting
Wilson.
Wilson.
For the ball.
Talking about him, and I'm already forgetting. But Wilson and Diggs going together and they converging. That was the first time that we had really seen a corner and a safety
you're right.
And it was huge.
Right,
and we talked about it immediately. Even Nate Newton and Barry, we all threw our hands up and we were like, finally, it happened. Yeah, this is incredible. And it's something that I think the Cowboys want to see in the future, but I just don't know if they want to invest that much because of the question marks at corner.
But how long is that going to be an excuse? Because this organization, I can't even just say a regime. It's an organization thing right now. They seem to just not value that position. The hope is that Wilson can develop into a better player than Xavier Woods because they both are 6th-round picks. Is anyone mad at what Xavier Woods has become as a 6th-round pick? No. But he's starting to look like 6th-round pick. That's all he is.
He's hitting that ceiling, right?
Right. So we hope that Donovan Wilson can break through that ceiling. But in reality, a lot of the better safeties in this league are drafted higher than the 6th round. Let's just be real. So hopefully at some point they put some some type of value or emphasis on that position, Kyle, because I'm looking forward to it whenever that day is.
Let's go get Paris forward, baby.
I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if are we going to see a high draft pick from this organization? I don't know. Plus, with the safeties that we've kind of been looking at in terms of the draft this year, I don't know if there is a high pick safety like there has been in the past. It may be a 2nd round position, but even then it would be tough to see.
Kyle, that would be the highest they've drafted a safety since Roy Williams.
Yep.
Wow.
And I'm okay with that. I'm pro that. Let's do it. Let's remake this whole secondary. Let's figure it out.
Well,
I kind of like your style, Sky. I think you said in one episode, let's just go out there and get a known commodity. I think that was you.
That was me.
Justin Simmons. Yeah, that was you. Yeah. What about that, Kyle? If we just go out there and just make that investment for a known commodity, not saying that you got to develop him. And I know this always fickle because everybody that we get sometimes fall off or what have you. But I think that if we go get a Justin Simmons, that will be a shoe-in spot, and that will be a guy that you can really say, okay, we got a Donovan Wilson on one side, and we know for sure Justin Simmons will not fold up like a Xavier Woods.
Yeah, I think you could totally go and get somebody. It just depends on who's out there. It's got to be the right kind of player, and how much. Yeah, and that's a good point. How much money are we throwing out there at the same time? Whenever you've got so many guys pent up in these big contracts defensively, and I mentioned this on the Fan the other day. I was asked who's the worst contract on the team, and one of the answers was Zeke, but my answer was Jalen Smith, and the reason why is because that's a contract you made thinking he was going to progress, and he ended up not progressing anywhere close to that. And now that's defensive money that you could potentially spend elsewhere. Imagine if that money wasn't there at all. You would either have Byron Jones still on your team,
or don't do that.
Go out and get a safety. So I'm just saying, like at that point, you're saying overall, I understand the Zeke is more money, and right now it's tougher to get rid of, and there's so many different aspects to that contract. But right now, the fact that Jalen Smith's contract is there, it hurts. It hurts a lot because it's instead of 54, you could have a 31 on the corner with Trayvon Diggs on the other side, locked up.
Kyle, you come
do whatever you want.
Kyle,
Kyle,
you about to piss Jerry Jones off. Here go Jerry.
I don't like your attitude.
You don't like your attitude right now, Kyle. But you're so right. I mean, I don't want to derail the show, Kyle. But I just don't understand this organization when you put an emphasis on positions that, historically speaking, are not more valuable than a cornerback right now.
Yeah.
Like modern day speaking, at least, they're not more valuable than a cornerback, and we did it. And I think we're suffering for it now. Now, don't get me wrong, Kyle. We got a ton of injuries. Yep. Right, that's a whole nother thing. But I don't think anyone would be complaining about Byron Jones' play if he's doing exactly what he did last year, right?
Yep.
Which means not getting interceptions, but he's shutting down a side of the field, and no one is just scoring on him, right? I don't think we have the worst pass defense in the history the first 6 weeks, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to derail the show. I'm sorry.
Well, you also don't have to put a rookie on another team's top receivers.
He ran through the gauntlet, Kyle.
Exactly. We're talking about top receivers of Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods,
Odell Beckham.
I mean,
he ran through the gauntlet.
Trayvon Diggs doesn't have to go up against those guys if Byron Jones is your corner, and he goes up against the second best guy and gets to learn from Byron Jones. Oh, I hate it.
I know.
Can I whisper this right quick? We wouldn't see Worley against you know who.
He wouldn't have been signed.
No.
Worley, may God bless him, but Worley, man, I said, man.
It was rough. Good dude, though. I like Worley as a guy.
I like him as a person too. It is so crazy. We had him on the show, Kyle. And listen, when I know how you guys feel down there. Like if you are cool with a player or something like that, it's hard to talk bad about him. But because Worley, we've been cool ever since he came on the show. But it's like, man, look, dog.
Like, listen here.
you be cool, but dog, I love the Cowboys board, fam. But you ain't helping out. So, peace.
Hey, to the both of y'all, before we go to the next subject there, can Jalen body frame hold 10 to 15 more pounds and, make him a specialist?
You trying to throw him on the edge?
Trying to put him outside. Kyle been trying to do that.
Since I was taping Notre Dame, man, I was in there like, man.
I agree. The one thing is, and I talked to Barry about this too, and we had this conversation, and I said, what if you put on 20 pounds and you threw him out to edge rusher? And Barry said, here's the thing about an edge rusher. You still got to be able to plant, and you still got to be able to change direction because you're now, instead of running straight through a gap, you're running around a player or you're running inside a player. You're having to go in and out of some guys. Sure, you don't have to go laterally as much, which is, I think, a plus. If you're talking about Jalen Smith, you take that completely out of his game. But I think overall, if you put him over there, it still might not ultimately work out just based on the fact that he can't change direction. I don't see why you wouldn't try it. If you're not going to cut him, then, I mean, it's worth a shot.
Well, he's a cornerstone, so you better find somewhere in the corner where he can fit.
Put him on the corner to be a stone. I don't know.
I mean, something, man, because, that's concerning. I don't like to listen to Jerry, but cornerstone? Anyway. Before we move off the secondary, Reggie Robinson, I wanted to ask you: is there any whispers since we've got Diggs out, and I know Cheeto's coming back, but are they really going to put Cheeto in for 90%, 99% of the plays? Like, what are we going to do here? Is he going to move the corner, or is he staying at safety?
I've heard still safety at this point. And whenever it comes to Cheeto, and he was supposed to be back a while, right? I mean, he was supposed to be back 2 weeks ago against Philly, and he wasn't ready. And now you get a bye week in there. So I think you're going to probably see Cheeto the majority of the snaps coming up this week. Now, with Reggie, I think it's almost like they're taking it as a red shirt year. It's really odd because he's still in practice. And he's still getting reps whenever we get a chance to look over there. But with the switch of the position, going from corner to safety, maybe he's not adjusting as quickly as they thought, or maybe they're just wanting to take a little extra time to get him ready to go. And we might see him toward the later parts of the year. But the fact of him just not being active is kind of odd to me. Like, at least let him be active and play on special teams or do something specific to where he's getting reps and he's continuing to get better. But it's the curious case of Reggie Robinson. We've talked about that around the building too. It's just like, where are we headed with this? What's going on with him? Because he's on the team, he's on the active roster, but he doesn't actually end up being active. And it's kind of a question mark for all of us.
I heard one of the two. McCarthy, I think he said they're trying to get Reggie acclimated on special teams first. So to me, that tells me the reason why he's not activated is because he's not getting down those assignments. And Bones, this isn't Keith Quinn. If you don't get it down pat with him, I don't think you're seeing special teams, period.
No, he's not going to throw you out there.
He's not going to throw you out there. So obviously let's just be real, y'all. Reggie is not above Donovan Wilson or Xavier Woods right now. No matter how much we don't like Xavier Woods at times, Xavier Woods still is a playing time caliber safety. I say playing time because depending where you're at, he's a starter, some maybe backup, whatever. But he's worthy to get some tick, maybe just not play 99% of the snaps. Nonetheless, we don't know that. I think we know Reggie's not ready for that. But special teams, that's a bit troublesome. If he's not ready for special teams, then maybe we should say, okay, he is a 4th-round rookie. He is converting a different position. Not everybody can come in as a rookie and play right away. Maybe he just needs to take time. And hopefully we see something later in the year.
I just want to see 41 out there. If we're being real, I just want to see what he's got. And I was not a huge fan of the move to safety. I kind of wanted him to stay.
Me too.
Right. Because
I mean, I like what he had at Tulsa. KT, Kevin Turner, is the one that really sold me on him. And KT's fantastic. I looked up to him in all of his draft coverage. And he was the one that was on it quickly first, was saying, listen, like, we need this guy to play corner. And the fact that they moved him to safety, and I even texted KT immediately and was like, why are we moving him to safety? And ultimately it hasn't worked out the way that we thought, because it happened in training camp. That's the thing, was we saw the switch happen because we were in training camp every day. And then once training camp was over, we weren't during those parts of practices anymore. And so, man, I don't know. Behind closed doors, it's a mystery with him for sure. But I want to see him out there. I want to see what he's got.
A man blocked like 4 kicks in college, Law.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was a special teams guy in Tulsa. So either whether he was ringing it in Tulsa and all of a sudden now you got to learn the playbook now and he's not picking it up, I don't know. And last game when I saw Darian Thompson get inside and he was against one of those it was his Schuster, and I was like, oh no, I know that this guy was going to catch.
Gosh,
you know, you remember that play, Kyle? I was like,
yeah.
Why
got
would
a
you
funny
do that?
story about that too. Is that play specifically? That was the Barry Church and I were in the studio, and Barry goes, he looks at me and he goes, Kyle, why is 23 still getting?
Is he playing on the?
Why? He goes, why is 23 still getting snaps? And I said, Barry, listen, I don't know. It's like
it really.
I have no idea.
Makes you wonder, what the hell did Clinton Dix do? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened that he couldn't beat out DT?
How could he be that bad? I agree. It's like that's another curious case. The secondary is it's like a game of Clue. I mean, you just don't know what's going on. It's like these guys keep missing, and then you got to figure out where they went.
I tell you why, Kyle, because they did not put enough real resources into that position in the offseason. They did, however, put the resources up front. And one of my things coming into the year was, all right, if you want to roll into the season with this secondary, this exact secondary, then you better hope like hell your front seven is elite. Not good, not great, not okay, elite. They need to be so good that they can fend off how sometimes bad the secondary may be. And obviously with the injuries and with Dontari Poe and Everson Griffin, it just never worked out that way. And here we are.
And I think they thought the same thing. That's why they added Everson Griffin and Dontari Poe.
Yeah.
I mean, Everson Griffin was signed to be elite. That's what he was expected to be, right? I mean, when we signed it, we were all excited. I mean, everyone
did a whole damn show.
Right.
We were legit. And Rob Phillips said it best, was the only thing that was missing on our podcast was balloons. Like, that was the only thing that was missing the day that we signed Everson Griffin. So the fact that it didn't work out that way it's pretty interesting to think about how they might have thought the same way of, you got to be elite or quote unquote elite, but it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, it sure as hell didn't work out that way. But at least we got a couple guys. Randy Gregory is showing up. Neville Gallimore is showing up. Defense feels like it's coming together. Real quick before we move on, is Mike Nolan off the hot seat, or is this thing still a little warm?
Ooh, that's tough because you don't really know how the next couple weeks are going to go. I mean, he did go up against a couple bad offenses in Washington and Philly, and then you shut down a good offense in Pittsburgh. So you've had a couple good weeks. I would still say it's warm.
It's warm.
I wouldn't say it's hot. It's definitely warm, but if things go south again, that seat's going to heat right back up. I mean, it's not going to take a whole lot to get back to where it was.
We turned the stove down a little bit. We're letting it simmer.
It's definitely, that's a good way of putting it. It's simmering.
Nice simmer.
Hey, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead, Law.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask you, do you think that we got too many edge rushers? I do know that the old theory will be, hey, if you think you got too many, draft another one. We have Randy Gregory, we have a Alden Smith, and then at the time we had an Everson Griffin, and we have Dorrance Armstrong and the good old guy D-Law. And that's why we don't get a chance to see Bradley Anae. Will we ever get a true evaluation of him? Is he going to move anything around to play on that edge, or what's the storyline with that?
It is kind of, it's that direction, or at least it looks that way, because he was inactive this past week as well against Pittsburgh. And whenever we added Randy Gregory back into the fold and let go of Everson Griffin, he seemed like he was the next guy up, right? Well, it's actually Dorrance Armstrong. And that's what Mike McCarthy even said at one point too, was it's actually going to be Armstrong that's going to step in and play that position a little bit more and see more snaps. The way that things are going with Anae and with Robinson, I kind of see similar things, except the only difference is that Robinson went through a position change, and I think they're trying to build Bradley Anae up in practice. And he's actually on special teams for the most part. Now, he was inactive this past week because I think they just basically took him off for a week, but he should be back this week and should be ready to go. But I want to see more Bradley Anae. I really do, but the more that I ask for it, I feel like the less likely it's going to happen. And I think whenever you are getting solid play out of Randy Gregory and out of Dorrance Armstrong looked pretty decent the other day, and he's actually played pretty well this year. He's been a surprising factor. Whenever those guys are playing well, there's not really a huge reason to throw in Anae, at least at this point in the season. Maybe later on you'll see some more snaps and might get a couple more looks, but that's a guy who I want to see play, but I don't know if the coaching staff feels the same way.
Is he head and shoulders over Takk McKinley?
Head and shoulders? No.
I don't know how we can even. We would. Well, the Bengals claimed him anyway.
Yeah, Bengals snagged today. Anyways, I don't see. Or Takk McKinley would have been a better edge rusher than Bradley Anae by a lot, and Dorrance Armstrong. But I don't know if they really felt great about that either. I don't know if they felt great about going out and claiming him. And like Sky just said, I mean, Cincinnati scooped him up pretty quick. The Cowboys didn't even have an opportunity to go and snag him. But I like Takk a lot. And I said that during the Atlanta week leading in. I thought Takk McKinley's a really good edge rusher, and that's somebody who I would have thought would have made sense here, but at least at that point, and they didn't.
Well, from what I was hearing around the draft that year, he could have been the pick if it wasn't for Atlanta jumping the Cowboys to get, Tack McKinley, and then for whatever reason, we still had a player sitting there that Dallas could have just took, but they took.
We gonna go there too?
No, we're not. You're right. My bad.
We already started talking about Byron. We want to go there too.
I'm just saying. I was hearing some things. They said we go get them. Listen, man.
I go say this right quick, Scott. I got a donation from Flacco. He said, "So, what do you guys think of Rico Dowdle?" Before we go to the next topic,
You want me to go first, guy, or you want it first?
I thought it was a great return, and he definitely earned himself some more time, probably on special teams.
That's pretty much what you're going to see with Rico Dowdle, but I kind of want to see him in the backfield too. I mean, what about a package with Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle? If he's going to be active,
why
not? I'm not trying
to wait.
There's a $15 million running back there, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get rid of Zeke. I just want to see it. Like, and that's the thing about this season is that, and I'm in this mode about anything, as if you can't tell, but I'm in this mode of let's try it all. I want to see what these guys got. I want to see what your young guys have, because you need cheap talent at this point in your organization. You need cheap contracts, and you don't have that all over the place. So why not try and look for it?
Hey, if they could run out Wildcat in reverse, double reverse, Puerto Rico, annex to Puerto Rico 7 times, say 8 times against the Eagles, why can't we see Rico a little bit more? See a little bit of Bradley, a little bit of Reggie.
Robinson, let's go.
Let's see a little bit of Reggie. He might not be no Reggie, if you know what I mean. But let's see a little bit more of these guys.
There's a stat out there that says, since 2016, nobody touched the ball more than Ezekiel Elliott since that time frame. Nobody.
Got lots of miles.
So, a lot of miles.
Whole lot of miles, man. Hey, Kyle, there was a huge count in the nation, right, over the last week going on across the nation. Yeah. I think we got our own Cowboys election going on right now, and I want to get a count. I want to get a count from the chat, and I want your thoughts on this one. Are we team Andy Dalton, or are we team Go Gadget Gilbert, as my guy Big Game James likes to call?
I like that.
So where we at with this? Because I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let you go on ahead, because I think I read a little article on what you said, Kyle. Got some
I didn't
words.
read it. So cash that vote.
Cash that vote, guys.
Okay,
Team
do I need to
Dalton,
wait
team
for the
Gilbert.
vote to come in, or do I just go?
I'm gonna tally the vote as you're talking.
Okay, tallying as we talk. Okay, so Gilbert and or Dalton. So the question, and I think the article you're referring to, the question was, should the Cowboys consider starting Garrett Gilbert over Andy Dalton? I said consider, absolutely. Yes, consider it. Actually go through with it? Probably not. And the reason why here is because you have the 10-year veteran and Andy Dalton that, at least at this point, through the game and a half, hasn't looked great, but you could also argue hasn't also gotten a fair opportunity back behind center. Now, with that being said, I still feel like Andy Dalton gives you the best chance to win, but if he comes back out and he looks like he did against Arizona, he looks like he did against Washington, then you turn around and you got a short leash. It's a good problem to have for the Cowboys, whereas a couple weeks ago, you were saying, who the hell is going to play quarterback for us? Like, where are we going here?
Yeah.
We're throwing Ben DiNucci out there 1 week, and then Cooper Rush maybe, and then, hey, look, it's Garrett Gilbert. That's cool. So you have 2 guys in Andy Dalton and in Garrett Gilbert that you can say both of these guys are going to play well enough to where you're going to look competent on offense. And if Andy Dalton comes out and he doesn't look competent in the first half against Minnesota, guess what? There's Garrett Gilbert sitting on the sideline. You know what he can do now because of what he showed against Pittsburgh and probably the best defense, at least right now, in the NFL. I want to see Dalton out there, but I want to make sure it's a shorter rope than what you would have originally thought.
Go ahead, Law.
There's somebody voting for Cooper Rush, and hey, I can't.
I didn't even say Cooper.
Cooper Rush said, "Hey, man, you're leaving me out of the puzzle."
Cooper Rush,
and Cooper Rush might know. He might know the offense. He might know what Amari Cooper likes. He might knows what what's this guy named Michael Gallup knows. You know, so who knows? I just say I'm team Garrett.
Okay.
I thought, I mean, just eliminate the competition, right? Because I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it here at CNN and all those other news networks. I'm calling it. The nation has voted for Garrett Gilbert. Okay, but let's eliminate the competition. Just watching his tape, I was on my way back on the airport. I was like, let me just watch Garrett because I thought he played really well, and I was impressed, Kyle. I really was for a guy that's only been with the team for 3 weeks, going up against this vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Now, they weren't quite Blitzburgh this week, which was strange. But nonetheless, our offensive line is still our offensive line. He's a quarterback that's been around AAF, right? Or the AFF, whichever it's called.
Lions of American football. Most player, baby.
And he was MVP.
They're outlaws.
He's MVP. He's not a rookie. He's been around. Wow. But to see him, just seem like he gave this team energy, and then the sounds from the sideline, Kyle, gave me that confirmation that this team was really behind this guy. Kind of give me your overall thoughts. Like I said, eliminate the competition on his play against the Steelers.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. You saw that immediately. You saw, hey, this guy's got a little bit of game because of that first play that he made, and it was that step up into the pocket, and he delivered a bullet. And I think it was Amari Cooper that caught that pass, I believe. I haven't watched the game in 3 days, and I've already forgotten. But he stepped up and just a straight seam and found Amari Cooper on the sideline. And I think overall that was when you were like, oh, well, hello there. Like, we didn't see that last week against Philadelphia. Right. We didn't see Ben DiNucci do that. Let's step up and let's try and do something here, especially whenever you got to stop defensively to start the game. So I think you saw that energy. To be fair to Andy Dalton, and Andy Dalton did not look good. I'll tell you that much. I mean, there's no lie. The tape tells the truth. Andy Dalton looked like crap. He really did. The 2 games, or the game and a half that he played. But you also could say those were the 2 worst games that the Cowboys have played all season long, and the energy was never there from the get-go at all. Now, there was energy against Philly. There was energy against Pittsburgh. If you get that same energy that you got from the remainder of the team, not even just the quarterback, but the remainder of the team against Minnesota, and now you have 14 there, I think I feel better than if I had 3. Because the one worry that I have about Garrett Gilbert was this his ceiling? Was this the best Garrett Gilbert you're going to get? And it may be, it may not be. You could get better. But if Garrett Gilbert's going to give you 243 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception, and what was it, like a 79 quarterback passer rating, and he's going to end up in a loss with 19 points scored, if you have that same stat line from Andy Dalton, I would say that's a low-end game, or not a low-end game, but a middle-of-the-road game for Andy Dalton. Whereas Andy Dalton could have upwards of 100-plus passer rating game with a couple of touchdowns.
I see what you're saying.
Close to 300 yards. That's my thing, is whenever you look at this quarterback controversy, if you want to call it, the ceiling is higher for Dalton, but I think the floor is higher for Gilbert, if that makes a whole lot of sense.
No, it makes sense, but you know what? I'm gonna just pivot here. You said flow. You accidentally said flow, but guess what? I thought the flow with Garrett Gilbert was great. That doesn't mean the offense was great, but I'm just watching Garrett Gilbert, and it caught me was the first pass, Kyle, because we watched Ben DiNucci, 7th round draft pick. We knew Ben wasn't going to come in there and light it up, but what hurt the Cowboys in that game was Ben didn't know where to go with the ball. He predetermined.
Didn't know to get rid of it either.
Yes, he predetermined. I'm going to 9 times out of 10 either Schultz or MG13. Which is backwards. I love you, MG13, but you don't want to go to him first. It should be Cooper, and it should be CeeDee Lamb. What you saw with Garrett Gilbert is, boom, if somebody's there, first throw, it's out. If it's not, he was reading it. And that's obviously a guy that's played the quarterback position at a higher level than Ben DiNucci, so that's a comfortability. But neither was Andy Dalton. He wasn't doing that either. Dalton seemed a bit gun-shy, and that had me nervous a little bit because when we signed him, I thought, okay, you got a veteran quarterback. He'll come in here, read things. He'll get the ball out when he needs to get the ball out. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be great, but he wasn't getting the ball out. So that made me feel a little better that Gilbert was in there doing that. But I agree with you. If Dalton, because he is a starter, if he comes out and he looks the way he looked in the first half, just what do you have to lose?
Nothing. Yeah. You have nothing to lose. If anything, you have something to gain if Garrett Gilbert is the backup. Because, one, you're not just looking at 2020 at this point. You're evaluating for 2021. And if Garrett Gilbert continues to show that he has a higher floor and maybe even a better ceiling than Andy Dalton, then he's your backup quarterback next year. No doubt in my mind. You're going to go and get him and make sure that he is Dak's backup next year, because at that point, Andy Dalton will most likely have moved on. Now, that's not a given either. But at this point, if you take the better guy out of 14 or 3, and that's going to be your backup next year, depending on how good Andy Dalton plays. If he comes out and he looks insane, then somebody's going to snag him as a starter. But I just don't see that necessarily happening. But there's a lot of different things that you got to look at whenever it comes to these two, because there's future things at stake, but also you want to try and establish a bit of a culture and a bit of energy inside your building, and that's where that starts right now.
Yeah, I think it is a political move for Dalton to play out there, because he is playing for a contract, and he's going to have to showcase some level of good tape out there. Mm-hmm. If he end up ending the season with just the tape that we have now, I don't think another team would really give him a shot.
Not as a starter, no.
So you're saying the front office is doing him a solid?
Yeah.
This is, but see,
got to.
You know what? I hate that. I hate that. It shouldn't be about favors. But here's I want to bring this up. My guy Swaggy D, he said, yes, Gilbert has played better than Dalton, but why would you want to win in a season we're not winning no Super Bowl? Before you touch that, Kyle.
Yeah.
Just because we want Gilbert to play does not mean we think he's going to win the game. I'm just going to say that. That doesn't necessarily mean I think he's going to go out there and beat all these teams. But let's be real.
Gilbert's not taking he Lance guy.
No.
Uh-huh.
No, he's not. He's not coming in and pulling. I don't know, was it Frank Reich or somebody that led the team? No. Jeff Hostetler? Is it? Yeah, no. But
Frank Reich did do it.
Let's be real, fellas. Did y'all have a better time watching the Cowboys offense on Sunday, or did you have a better time watching the Cowboys offense against the Cardinals and the Redskins?
I don't want to even think about that game.
Okay. So if we gonna lose, let's at least lose with the quarterback doing something. Know what I'm saying?
And CeeDee Lamb came alive. You know, I said,
yes, he did.
Woke up.
Yes,
he did.
If anybody lobbying for Garrett, it would be CeeDee Lamb. He'd be like, come on, coach, please put Garrett out there.
Can we get number 3 back, please?
Yeah. You listen. I know they talked about my man Cooper and his body language, and I bet you he may not be screaming on the sideline like Des Bryant, but if Andy Dalton start being Andy Dalton, he gonna be somebody's there. Hey man, come on, you mind putting number 3 in the ball game? Yeah. He calm, he cool, calm, collected, but I bet you he talking. He went in Dak's there. He said, Dak, you better not throw that damn comeback. I'm going deep. Touchdown, Eagles. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man.
Oh yeah, and then on top of that, just for optics, I want to know what did Andy had to say to that offensive line when he was cussing and chewing them out on the sideline.
You talking about against Washington?
Yeah.
He's taking his hat off and he's sitting there, he's all red and he's just going at it.
You know what? I thought was even, I hate to say that was funny because it wasn't, because he got hurt afterward.
Yeah, that's true.
But what I thought was kind of, I just smile a little bit and say, good job for you. Good attempt, kid. Ben DiNucci against the Eagles. Hey, guys, listen. Stay in the damn huddle. Is he talking to me?
This is a 7th round rookie.
You talking to me? He told Zeke and them boys, stay in the damn huddle.
DiNucci.
I said, you know what? Go ahead. Go on ahead, Ben. At least you're trying. You're trying.
But here's the thing, though. Next year, I cannot wait to see Ben DiNucci week 1 of the preseason.
Preseason, right?
Yeah, he's gonna light it up. Yeah, I promise you, he's gonna light it up.
All over it. It's gonna be great, and we're gonna celebrate. Hey. He's gonna throw a touchdown pass to undrafted free agent receiver, and it's gonna be insane.
You better hope he's still on the team because, bruh, that tape
wasn't good.
Take what good, man.
He was always a project, though.
Right. That's not fair to Ben.
2020. That wasn't supposed to be his.
Not fair.
If you're giving up on Ben DiNucci because of the Eagles,
right,
you got another thing coming, because that's not what Ben DiNucci was drafted for by any means. He's drafted to be a project, and he's not there.
Boy,
Ben DiNucci over there saying, "Well, what about Terrence Steele? You know, you got him still out there. You know, give me a chance."
That is a failed project. But nope. You know what? I'm not gonna say that. Let's bring. Remember we talked about the rainbows and Skittles. We're gonna give him a little. We gotta give him a little rainbows and Skittles. You never know, guys. Terrence Steele might develop into a very quality 4th tackle. Let's move on.
That's it for me, guys.
Hey, real quick, we go do like a quick little segment here before we wrap up because I don't want to keep you too long, man. But I'm having a great time. I'm having a good time out there. Drop some fire emojis, man.
Fire emojis, yeah.
Oh, all right. We're gonna do some. My bad, guys. We're gonna do some mid-season awards. Okay, if we could even give those away, 2 and 7, but we're gonna do it. You know how they have those ceremonies after the Little League. You know, you could be 0 and 10. But you're going to have your little banquet, and everybody going to get a trophy and a medal, you know what I'm saying, a little plaque. You get some food. Now, Terrence can't sit at my table. We got the same last name, me and Terrence still. That's my third cousin, you know. Not really, but he's not allowed to sit at our table. But nonetheless, there's some awards to give out. And I'm going to start at the top. I know who my MVP is. But who is your MVP so far of this season, mid-season with the Cowboys?
Ooh.
It shouldn't even be that hard, Kyle.
I've got one, but I feel like it's not sexy. Like, I feel like it's not a sexy MVP. It's definitely Zach Martin. I mean, Zach Martin is about as good as they come in terms of a player doing his job right. And you saw what that offensive line looked like without Zach Martin. And then you put him back in there, and then it's like, oh my gosh, we can stop Pittsburgh for a little bit. It's like we couldn't stop a nosebleed initially.
He the MOP.
What was that?
He's the MOP.
Yeah,
most outstanding player.
Yeah.
What about Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Didn't they do? They did something like that before, like NFL top 100, and they still put the player up there, and he didn't play it a full year. Was that Peyton Manning? 1 year? Yeah, it could have been one of those.
Might have been Peyton. So, I know what you're talking about. A year, somebody was complaining that Peyton, I think, was top like 10 or 5, and he didn't play or something like that.
Yeah, didn't even play.
He went back up.
Yeah, I would say, this is how they talk about it every year, too. Well, MVP means most valuable. So who's the most valuable? I hate that. And MVP is about stats and being a quarterback. Let's just be real. But if it is about most valuable, oh, my goodness, it's Dak Prescott.
It's got to be Dak. I agree with you. MOP, Zach Martin. MVP, it's Dak Prescott. It's definitely, especially now that you've seen, and a lot of people are asking, like, oh, with Garrett Gilbert playing the way that he did, are they going to pay Dak? It's like, no, come on. Like, stop. We're talking about these are two different things here. Like, you need to pay Dak Prescott. I am on that train 100%. And the way that he's being missed right now is immense. It's immense. You might have 5 wins now if you didn't have Dak, or if you did have Dak Prescott. You may have 5.
Kyle, that 4. Yes, that 4-game stretch we went with the Eagles and the Redskins and the Giants, and then here against I think we beat the Steelers, but nonetheless,
I think you beat the Steelers with Dak too. I think you did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What about you, Law? Who is your MVP? And with not counting Dak was the I was just having fun with that one. But yeah.
Oh man, that is hard. Right.
Kyle's is Zach, which honestly, dude, when you think about it, how can you argue against that?
I can't argue.
I can't think of another MVP worthy player.
Greg the Leg,
That's a good one. He's been good. He's been real good. He won you a game.
He's been very good.
I got you 2 rookies of the year.
That's
rookie of the midway.
Save it. That's the third one.
I'm gonna hold it. Okay, I'm gonna hold it.
Okay, let's go to the defensive player of the year, which I think it's going to hit a nerve with some fans. I think it's going to, if you say who I think it is, but your defensive player of the year so far, 9 games into the season.
I got mine. You want me to go first this time, Kyle?
We can say it on the same time because I bet you it's the same guy.
No. It's this guy. Go ahead.
Okay, you say it then. You say yours first.
I just got to give it to, and this is probably based off of recency bias. How you say that thing? I'm going to go with number 99 because of the fact that he stood up, he defended the star. Anybody defend the star, he look like Look, I just think that he's having a good year so far. Number 99.
Hey,
I called him out, and I give him his flowers when he does
Tell him
great.
why you really said number 99, Kyle. He called out Antoine Woods beginning of the year.
Okay.
Antoine Woods called him back out on social media.
So you're doing the political thing now too, huh?
I'm political law right now.
Getting a little political with it. I like it.
99.
Wow. And honestly, this is tougher than what I don't know what just happened with my light here.
They're good. We still can see you pretty good.
I think this is tougher than what I thought because you could go with Diggs potentially. You could go with D-Law, which my original thought was probably D-Law, and just based off of that. But I would kind of want to say Aldon Smith early on, but he hasn't necessarily been the same kind of player lately. So it's all weird because it's different points of the year, and then you get flashes of a couple games clumped together that have been really, really good. And then you might see some more downtime. So I would probably say Diggs 1, D-Law 2 in a tight neck-and-neck battle. I like the Woods, though. That's clever. I like that.
That is clever.
Because, in a two-gap system, they're not going to get a gang of sacks, right? They're going to hold that line. They're going to make sure that everybody else is eating. And what I saw last game, of course, Gallimore, he did a great job. But when they did their bear front and they lined number 99 at 0, he held his point of contact up, and the other boy was eating. So I like what I
that's huge.
Yeah.
So you think he's playing? I'm going to go D-Law. It's really hard, like you said. It's between, I think, Diggs and D-Law. I think D-Law has been better consistently.
Yep.
He's not as flashy, but he's starting to put it together more. He's starting to look more like that dominant D-Law that I've been asking to see. Is he all the way there, worth whatever the contract everybody we talk about? Maybe not, but I think he's enough to the point where I'm not worried about DeMarcus Lawrence anymore. I'm not going to lie. I was worried a little bit at the beginning of the year because I just wasn't seeing that D-Law, right? Will we ever see the 14-sack D-Law again? Maybe not. Maybe he just is a extremely elite run defender that can rush the passer. So if you can give me 8-9 sacks and still be great against the run and still help your other teammates, I'm cool with that. And that's just that. So I'm going to go D-Law because I think he's just been consistently the best defensive player on the team. I feel like Diggs, though, would have won that if he kept playing, which is strange because he was struggling a little bit, but just rookie struggles, not concerning struggles. That's
I like the D-Law thing. You talk about consistency on a plane. He's continuously gone up, and I think that's something that you can kind of look at with him specifically is he's gotten better every week. I mean, look at Week 1 against the Rams. He, like you said, wasn't D-Law. It was weird. It was a little awkward, to be fair. And then this last game, he showed that he can be a dominant force, and he's shown that the last couple weeks of the season as well. And while Diggs is your MVP or at least your defensive player of the year that you can have those flash plays against, and he stopped a couple big-time plays. The DK Metcalf run where he came up behind and bopped that ball away was one of the best plays of the year so far. So overall, I would probably still say D-Law. I don't know. That's close. D-Law, Diggs. Those are my two guys.
It is. Yeah. What about now? We're gonna go right to what you said, Law. Rookie of the year. Who were you going to say was your rookie of the year, Law? Because it got closer the last few weeks.
Right. Pre Dak injury, I have you got to put C dangerous Lamb, C Diggs. You can put both of them together, right? But it's C dangerous Lamb. And post Dak injury, I got Diggs. So they're gonna have to split that Rookie of the Year award, kind of like what they did with the 2016 Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. They both came on the stage at the same time. That's what I'm thinking. And next year is gonna be even better. Why?
No love for Tyler Biadasz.
Hey. He didn't get clever with that one.
I like Tyler Biadasz a lot, and he's another guy who's gotten better as the week goes on. I still think it would probably be CD.
He's a sexy pick,
just barely, and really, honestly, just based off of availability right now. I mean, the fact that CD is still available is huge, and the growth was bigger for Diggs, but the production is still there for CD. He's still a 500-yard receiver. I mean, he's got a very good chance to be a 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. You haven't seen that in a good amount of time in a Cowboys uniform. So I'd still give it to CD, but man, Biadasz and Diggs have been great. And this rookie class is something that could really closely be something special soon.
That's a great point bringing up Biadasz. And you talked about CD having 500-some yards. He actually leads the league in slot receiving yards. So not only is he, leading the league of rookies, just the entire league, period, out of yards out of the slot. So I think he is your de facto Rookie of the Year based off the position, based off his draft pedigree and his production. He's playing well. But I love the Biadasz one. In fact, I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to say Biadasz is number 2. I might not put him there because number one, because CD's production is just, it speaks for itself. And it's a position where we can see the production easily. Biotish, though, I think playing center is hard. Number one, replacing Travis Frederick is even more hard. Number two, and Biotish hasn't been a liability as a fourth round rookie. And like you said, he's getting better and better. Now the injury is a tough setback. But again, just like I said that Diggs had a chance to maybe catch D-Law as Defensive Player of the Year throughout the year, I think Biotish would have made you think, if you go beyond the sexy pick, right? The wide receiver. I think Biotish would have gave somebody, be it Diggs or CeeDee Lamb, a run for the money. So I like that one.
And as a last pick of the fourth round, I mean, you're getting value. And you talk about not being a liability. He's been, if anything, exceptional for a rookie in that spot. Yes. Stepping in for Joe Looney whenever he was hurt in a last-minute scenario, and then playing the way that he did. And then once he started getting starting reps, I mean, he excelled. He 100% did. And it's somebody that you can look to in the future being your starting center. And that's something you were worried about in the offseason.
Yeah, it damn sure was. But wouldn't it be something? Replace our one Pro Bowl caliber Wisconsin center with another Pro Bowl caliber Wisconsin. I'll be lovely.
It would be fantastic. And shout out to the Eagles for allowing that to happen.
Yeah. Thanks, Philly.
Thank you, Philly.
Appreciate it, guys.
So before I get you out of here, I gotta hit this hot button topic here. Mr. Jerry Jones came out the other day, and he said we'd be crazy to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. Now we could do a whole damn show on this alone, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. But why am I listening to Jerry? I don't know, but I think I agree with him. No, I don't think I do agree with him. Is that we would be crazy because you got a damn quarterback in Dak Prescott. But nonetheless, it's a hot topic. It's an interesting discussion, and I do like to hear both sides. I think both sides make their good points. But where are you on this? And the side I'm talking about, Kyle, is if we get a top pick, do we draft one of the top quarterbacks, or do we bring back Dak Prescott?
So I am firmly on the bring back Dak Prescott side of the conversation, but there's three ways you could go about this, and I think they're going with it the second best way out of the three. Okay. If I'm being honest, the three ways is one, and this is all if you have a top 5 draft pick. Just so you know, let me explain this. So the three ways is one, you draft a quarterback, and I think that's the worst way to do it. So you could do that, but it's a mystery box. How many of those top 5 picks over the past decade have been as good as Dak Prescott has been? Not a ton. You can name a couple, maybe. So I throw that one out of the way. You get the guy that you know that can do your job the right way and that can lead your program and your organization. You keep Dak Prescott. So now there's 2 ways you do that. One is you just sign him outright, which is what it sounds like they want to do. Is they just are done, cut and dry. Dak's our guy. Doesn't matter if we have a top 5 pick or not. We're going to sign him, which is fine. Let that be known. Get it out there and let it happen. That's cool. I'm cool with that. That's fine. That's the second best option. That's most likely the option that's going to be there. I have another option that I wish we would kind of entertain, but it would be a lot more risky. And here's what it is. You, under the table to Dak Prescott and his people, you say, listen, we're going to get a deal done. Our deal is here. You're our quarterback, but we're going to shop this quarterback a little, or shop this pick rather, a little bit more by saying we may take a quarterback, because if we're in the top 3 or top 5 of the draft,
yes,
right.
Say, man, like Justin Fields is here. How about Zach Smith? How about Trevor Lawrence? I mean, if all these guys are going to fall to us, we may do it. How much more enticing would it be for another NFL team that's desperate for a quarterback to go up and get one?
Now that's
it's like, hey, let's call Dallas real quick. Hey, I know you're trying to think about a quarterback, but hey, we're going to offer you a little bit more than we normally would. Here's our haul that you would potentially have to trade back here. Oh, really, Indianapolis? You want to give us a couple first round picks and maybe a second and a third as well? You know what? I think we can back off having a quarterback for now. Thanks. We'll see you in the 12th overall pick. Click. Then you trade it off. You keep Dak Prescott. You add to your team. It's a bonus pick. You add a couple more high-profile guys on the secondary, on the defense. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever the hell you want. Just don't draft a quarterback in the top 5. Shop it however you would. But I think right now they're just trying to take no risk They want Dak Prescott back, and they don't want anything to get in the way of that. And I think that's the one of the ways to do it. But I kind of want to see what entertainment value would come out of and what kind of additional capital you could get from potentially drafting or saying you're going to draft a quarterback.
Go ahead, Law.
Yeah, well, you have Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Lance, Trask Kid. You got Zach Wilson. You got all of those kids that will be on the board, and you can hold everything at ransom. When you said that they would do the contract deal with Dak Prescott, will it be north of what Deshaun Watson got, or will it be something like the Pat Mahomes deal? How would you kind of critique that, or how would you put that out there and propose that, or would you do the quote unquote tag for another year? Was it 38 mil?
What would you do? That.
You can't do that to him.
As soon as you tag him, then that just means specifically you're letting him test the market next year, because there's no way that he wouldn't test the market. You can't tag him a second year, really.
Kyle,
it would be huge or it would be a huge roadblock for that. You could tag him, but it would ultimately say we're moving on after you. It is basically what it would say. But I think you could expect it to be right at Watson, at least right now. I think with the injury, prior to the injury, I think it was above Watson. With the injury, it might be right there. It's not going to be a Pat Mahomes deal. It's not going to be anything crazy like that. But I think it would be right at the Watson mark. And I'm not a contract expert. I'm not even going to pretend to be like a contract expert. For the most part, I just ask Rob Phillips for some of that stuff.
We go to KD
because he's the guy that I go to for that stuff. I'm more of a watching the play kind of thing. But I think it would probably be right around the Watson deal if I had to guess.
I just say do what you got to do to get it done.
If
that's Watson, if it's below, if it's above, just get it done. It's not going to be some $500 million contract.
And just because the salary cap's going down this next year doesn't mean it won't go back up in 2022. I mean, it sucks for 1 year because it will go down, and we don't know how much it'll go down, but it's going to go back up at some point in that contract. And so get it done. Let's make Four a quarterback of the future, and let's stop making this an argument.
See, that's
so you build around it with the offensive tackle groove, or you go with the actual defensive player in the first, if that's the case in the scenario.
It depends on where you pick, because if you keep that top 5 pick and Penei Sewell is there out of Oregon, I want him.
How do you not take him?
This is a guy you could put at guard. You could put him at left guard, and Connor Williams could be your swing tackle. And then Tyron Smith will play for a couple more years before Penei Sewell will kick out, and he'll be your left tackle. So if you're in the top 5 and he's there, you take him.
Unless you get a ransom, right?
What was that?
Unless you get a ransom.
Unless you get a ransom, which that's what I'm in favor for. I want to trade back in that sweet spot for defensive players right now. The way that it's shaping out is right around 9 to about 18. 9 to 18, you're going to get a really, really good defensive player, because I don't think Patrick Surtain, who's my top corner right now out of Alabama, I don't think he's going to be in the top 8 picks. I think he'll probably fall somewhere between 9 and 13, 9 and 14, something like that. And it's basically what we saw from like a CJ Henderson in last year's draft. Mm-hmm. That right around that same deal where it's like he's really, really good, and he might be the top secondary player on the board, but he's just not good enough to get in front of quarterbacks and wide receivers and a couple just stud defensive guys. So I think that's where you want to try and trade back to. If you're outside the top 20, I don't know if I want it. I want a top 20 pick still.
Oh, yes.
But if you're able to trade back, then you take a defensive player, especially a secondary guy, because I don't think your D tackle spot's going to improve in the first round of this draft.
So you like Caleb too? Do you like him?
I do. Farley?
Yeah,
out of Virginia Tech. I wish he would have played this year, though. I wanted 2020 tape on him. And he was good in 2019. And I've watched the 2019 tape a couple times, but I really wanted to see him play again, because there were questions I had with him and his decision-making and kind of the quick trigger and things like that. But I think overall he's
he's physical. He's
the late teens.
Where's the Marvin kid from Florida State? Where's he going to go? DT.
Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, big boy.
Yeah, maybe early second round, maybe. And this is tough right now, too, because
it's early.
It's so early.
Yeah. I know. Look at us talking draft.
Probably
talking draft. Yeah.
What was that?
I said we're talking draft.
Yeah, talking draft. Here you go. And we got there somehow. So Jones would probably be an early second round guy. I don't like him as much as I liked like a Ross Blacklock or a Justin Madubuike from last year. I liked those guys better than I like Jones, but with him being probably the best D tackle, you might be able to snag him in the second. You might, like, if you keep your second round pick and you're picking in the top 5 picks of the second round, you might get it, Marvin Jones. He might fall.
I want to pull a thread you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And this is what confused me about with Jerry saying it, which is funny because I'm okay with him committing verbally, but I got to see it to believe it. But why would you come out there and say that if you're intending on trading a pick or at least have a possibility of trading a pick? Didn't you just devalue the pick a little bit? I mean, it's super early. For all we know, they could win 4 games, and now we're sitting at 9, so it doesn't matter. But nonetheless, if we do finish 3 and whatever, 4 and whatever, you're kind of diminishing that pick by saying, oh, yeah, no doubt about it. You know, it'd be crazy to draft a quarterback. You can say, hey, Dak is our guy. We'll talk draft when draft gets here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that hurts you. But when you say, it'll be crazy to draft a quarterback, well, if I'm a team, okay, I know you ain't drafting the quarterback. Now I'm contending against the rest of the league that's trying to trade up for that pick. Yeah. And do I really believe you? We'll see. So I don't like him doing that.
Yeah. Also, I want to make a correction. JB Gaming, my guy, said it's Marvin Wilson, not Jones. That's my bad. It is totally Marvin Wilson, Florida State D tackle. Now, I don't know if it devalues the pick, but it shows your hand.
That's what I meant. Show your hand. Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Whenever you're talking in Texas Hold'em, I mean, we love our gambling in Texas Hold'em all the time, right? But you never want to show your hand whether it's good or bad. And everybody knows the top 5 pick is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
But you don't want to necessarily show what you want there, because if teams are scared you're going to get a quarterback and they want a quarterback, they're going to be more inclined to give you more, right? That's kind of my point with it. I don't think it's a bad thing, and it's a political play again.
Yeah.
To say specifically,
that's what it is.
Let's get Dak done. Dak's our guy. It's not a PR, but it's a political thing of saying this is our focus. We don't even care about anything else, which is not a bad move by any means. And I don't think it devalues it that much.
It shows their hand, though. It
just shows your hand, and it tips the cap a little bit to everybody else to where they know what that you're doing, or at least you know what you think they're doing.
They do this too often for me, man, especially in the offseason. Steven gets up there and he talks about exactly what he's going to do in free agency and the draft, and albeit he sure as hell does it. We're not going to spend money in free agency. We're just going to plug holes with Jags, and then we're going to draft. Steven, Jerry, be quiet. Just be quiet. Do you see the serious question, Kyle? Do you see Bill Belichick talking about every move he's going to make? Do you see the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts? These guys are not telling you what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Sit back, relax, man, and build a squad, a winning championship squad, man. Before I go down that, because see, look, I've been getting pissed off all week, man.
Get after him, Scott.
Hey, get him. Anyway, listen, Kyle, I'm going to let you get out of here, man. We kept you for about an hour and a half here, man. Yeah. We really appreciate you coming through, dog. We had a blast as usual, and I sure as hell hope this ain't the last time, because we got to get you back on. Definitely for draft. I didn't realize I knew you was on the draft show and things like that, but you said it in pregame.
Let me throw one more question at him, Sky.
Yeah.
Since he's a draft guy. What's your thoughts on this Penn State linebacker kid?
Oh, Micah Parsons?
Before you go, Kyle, that's my guy from my hometown, my young buck. Don't be too hard on him.
I'm not going to be hard on him. I love him. He's a fantastic player. I just don't know how much he's going to fit. And I hate saying that because I sound like Rod Marinelli, but he's an off-ball linebacker, and I don't know if you 100% need that right now. But you know what? Honestly, I'm to the point where if he's there and you want to take him, because you can mold him into
cake and play
whatever you want. Yeah, best player available. Let's take him.
Cake and play.
He's legitimately, I mean, he's so fun to watch. And he's another guy. I talked about Farley potentially being a guy that I wanted to see in 2020. I wanted to see Parsons just from a football fan standpoint. Like, he's electric. Defensively, he brings so much energy, and honestly, that's what you need. So I even though he may not be the best scheme fit him to your scheme or fit your scheme to him. Let's figure it out. Let's not just pass over these badass players specifically because they don't fit. And so that's the same thing with Micah Parsons. If he's there and you want him, let's take him and let's not look back.
Man,
Let's not do a TJ Watt groove.
No, please.
Yeah.
No. I was coaching the AAU squad years ago. Oh my goodness, maybe 2014 or something like that. And we lacked size, to say the least. I was coaching the 17U, and we lacked size. I happened to be sitting at the top. I think this was down in Lancaster somewhere. And I'm like, who the hell is this kid right here? Just ridiculous athleticism. He got hops. How old is he? He was in our program just at a different level, and I didn't know which level. I said, hey, can we get him up? Can we need some size? Or can we go grab him? He said, oh, no. He's on the 8th grade team. I said, what? This grown-ass man is on the 8th grade team? I said, come here, young man. What's your name, Micah Parsons, sir? I said, how old are you? 12 years old, or whatever it is in 8th grade. I said, you got to be. Are you playing the right sport? Oh, no, I play football. I said, you damn sure you do. I bet you do. and then I start hearing about Micah around, and now he is what he is. That kid is a ridiculously athletic freak. It's crazy.
He's insane. And that's why I say, even though he may not be a scheme fit from his tape at Penn State to what you see with the Cowboys, figure it out. It's the best way to put it. Just be better and figure it out. Let him come play for you, and he's going to do some good things. And
hey,
now I'm glad I know that you're a big Micah Parsons fan. So if
I'm biased.
Come back on something, I'm coming to you. Like if I need to make a point on Micah Parsons, I'm coming to Sky to make sure that he's on my back.
Sky.
I got you, brother. I got you. But you know what, though, man? We got a cornerstone linebacker. So, looks like that's never going to happen, though. Cornerstone linebacker, first-round pick linebacker. Neck problems, no one cares about that. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Law, before I let him go. Parting shots, Law Nation.
Oh, man, it was wonderful to have you on the show, Kyle. And I can't wait to draft season really kick off so we can go down this list and we'll do a draft show with you, man.
Coming back for a draft show.
I'm already speaking into existence, man. They can't wait to hear your thoughts on all of these players, and we can, wrap it up about those cornerbacks too, because I like Sean Wade and I like a whole bunch of those. I'm a cornerbacks guy, so that's the position I played. So I want to get into that, conversation with you. Appreciate you for joining on, though.
Yeah, you guys do a fantastic job. I can't wait to come back and talk draft with you. And man, it's sad that we are talking draft right now.
Right.
Here's the thing. Listen up, Cowboys Nation. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. You don't know when one of these game days is the last, especially in a 2020 year like this. Take every game day like it's your last, and let's continue to cheer on and be emphatic about the Cowboys, whether it's good or bad. I don't care. You can be angry. You can be happy. It doesn't matter. As long as you still care about the Cowboys, that's the biggest thing. And I know we'll be right there with you guys. And, hey, you guys do a fantastic job of keeping that energy up, and I love that.
Man.
That's all what I'm about, and you guys put out great content, and I'm always happy about.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I'm that. You know that meme where it's the clown from the Joker actually drawing the paint on. That's me on game day, knowing damn well I'm getting hype. I'm excited, but you know what? We're gonna be mad as hell by the end of this game. But so what? I still want to see us play good. I still want to see us play good, man. Hey, thanks, Kyle. Really appreciate you coming on here. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys like this the podcast tonight. Subscribe to all the channels: Dallas Cowboys Network, Law Nation, and Silver and Blue Nation. Our guy couldn't be here, Big Game James, but we still got his channel rocking. So make sure you do that. And check out Kyle on DallasCowboys.com. If you haven't, I mean, I don't know what you really waiting for, man. Like, it's DallasCowboys.com, man. Appreciate you again, brother. And
absolutely, guys. Anytime.
If I don't press this button, we won't go anywhere, Kyle. So I'm going to press this button. Hey, man, this was an awesome show, dog. Awesome show. Make sure you guys check us out next week. We will be tuning up for the Vikings, right? Probably another L, but so what? I'm going to put that paint on my face. We're going to be here, man. Thank you guys, man. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you, brother. Have a good night, chat. Peace.
Luke.